Hey everyone, my name is George Originales, and you are listening to Radio Faith, episode 15. My guest for this episode is with Karla Freyre. She is a good friend and a former student of mine. Karla is currently studying to be a political journalist. During our conversation, we talk about being raised in a Christian home, standing firm in the faith, and the summer she was an intern at DC. She also offers some advice for those who are currently in college. So, turn up your volume and get ready to hear my conversation with Karla Freyre. All right, so today we have on the show Karla Freyre, and she is a good friend of mine. Actually, she was say former student of mine in Sunday school, so I taught her, so I've known her for a very long time. And just wanted you to get to know a little bit about her. How are you doing today, Karla?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for being on the show. So let's start out by you telling our audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, and your testimony.
So I am 21 years old. I am the youngest of five. So I grew up in a Christian household. I had parents and family who were, always very involved in the church growing up. And so I was, I'm very fortunate to have grown up in a God-centered home and a God-fearing home. But I think getting into my testimony, growing up, I feel like looking back, I was very much into the routine of what it meant to be a Christian. I grew up expected to go to church every Sunday, expected to, worship on Sundays, and I liked it, but I just noticed that it started becoming a routine, especially in middle school and high school. So looking back, I think I can say that I didn't have a very strong relationship with the Lord just because I saw everything more as a routine. I think that's kind of the habit that a lot of young adults fall into growing up in the church. Everything just kind of starts to become robotic in a way. And so now that I'm a little bit older in college, I can say that I have begun to rely on God more than in just a robotic way. I'm in college now. I'm a junior at Houston Baptist University. And part of, my decision of choosing a college was the fact that Houston Baptist as a Christian university helped, but I did not realize how much of an impact it would have on my life as it actually has had. When it came time to make the decision to pick a college, I prayed about it. And I think that was one of the biggest times that I came, face to face with God and just learned to fully surrender, my life to Him in that way, because that decision was going to be so important for my future. And so getting to college, again, I was kind of always just had this habit or felt that my relationship with God was just becoming a habit. So, from the first class that I walked into, and my professor starts to pray for us and pray for, our academics and then our next 4 years, I began to see that pattern in all my classes, and I began to become more interested myself in developing my relationship with the Lord, because again, I had parents and I had family who instilled all that in me, but it wasn't until college I feel like I wanted to take it upon myself to develop my relationship more. And so being in a Christian university has definitely helped me in that. Just having professors who are willing to pray for me, having friends who are willing to go to Bible study with me. So I feel like I've come to a place now where I can say that I don't think we can ever say we have a perfect relationship with the Lord, but I feel like I wake up in the morning and I feel excited to read my Bible, and I just don't see it as a habit anymore. I see it as wanting to grow and develop more in my relationship.
That's awesome. I think there's a lot of people out there that can relate to that testimony. I know I can for sure.
Yeah.
Same as you, raised in a Christian home, always knowing the name of Jesus Christ, and then of course at one point coming to personally believing in Him. But the same boat. I grew up and around high school years, going through the routine, and like you described it, spot on, just very robotic. But I guess, like you said, when you get into the college life or college age, real life, if we can call it that, hits you, and you really start to depend on Christ, and your faith, I think, is put to the test, and you either come through strong or let life get to you. So you said you're a junior in college right now. So being one who was raised in a Christian church, can you speak, Christian family, and having, if we can call it that, shelter of being guided and guarded by a Christian family and friends, but then going into college, you're a little bit more on your own. Can you talk a little bit about if there was any kind of shock, I guess, to the culture that you were going into, and then how did you exemplify your faith there? Even though it is a Christian college, was there any challenges to doing that?
Yeah, I think one of the preconceived notions of a Christian university is that everyone there is Christian. Everyone there grew up in a Christian household, just like you. And I think going in, because I had family members who went to that university, I knew that that wasn't going to be the case. And so, yeah, of course, you're going to meet people who aren't Christian or are not believers or are kind of wouldn't, consider themselves a Christian but don't have a relationship with the Lord. So walking in, every day, you meet people from different backgrounds and, you meet friends who say they're Christian, but, want to push you to do things a different way, or they want to push you, question you on your beliefs on certain things, or, who just see things differently than you. So that's definitely, has been a challenge because there are people from so many different backgrounds. But how I've been able to not overcome that, but how I've been able to face that is first, like I said, I have a very good my family has a very good, foundation and background in that. So they've always instilled in me to have faith in the Lord and to always look to the Lord, not to what others are doing, what others are trying to convince you of or trying to push onto you. So I think just always having that firm foundation, the Lord has helped me, but also, trying to be a light to those other people that I meet, because even now, just in university, I have friends who, are not Christian or who, view Christianity in a different way than I do, but trying to be a light and speak with them and have candid conversations with them has been something that has helped me. And I think that's a really good thing about college is, people's maturity levels for the most part, at least from some of the people I've encountered, are much higher than they are in high school. So you can have conversations with other students, with professors, and be honest and be frank. And being at a Christian university has helped me with that, because like I said, just being able to have those conversations, being able to go to sermons with my friends and Bible studies and then have discussions afterwards, and it's mutually beneficial to both sides.
That's awesome. Now, you're like you said, you're in college right now, HB specifically. What are you going to study, or what are you studying currently?
So I'm studying, my major is mass media arts and my minor is in government.
Mass media arts and government. So, could you talk a little bit about why you chose those two?
So mass media, another name for it, I guess, would be journalism. They just kind of switched the name up. I've always known that I wanted to go into news and reporting and storytelling. So that's something that I've known since I was really young. I don't think I've ever wanted to not do that. I always wanted to be the one to report on things. And I was really interested in sports growing up. And so I always thought that I was going to go that route. I wanted to be like a sports reporter or something like that. So naturally, going into the journalism field was the path that I chose. But then towards the end of high school and in college, I started to become more interested in politics and public service. And so that was just a natural, path to take for my minor and, hopefully being able to combine the two. So yeah, like I said, just an interest in media and news and storytelling, and also in public service and wanting to change the narrative around government and politics.
Now, I know recently you've had some opportunities that have risen from pursuing that career. Can you speak a little bit on those opportunities that you've had?
Yeah, so last summer, I got the chance to intern for Speaker Ryan in Washington, D.C., which was the height of the new presidency coming in last year. So I was very excited about that, but I got to go to D.C., spend the summer and intern there. And it was just a really amazing opportunity. I feel very fortunate and blessed to have had that opportunity. I feel like I learned a lot. I grew a lot from that experience. And yeah, I'm just very fortunate to have been able to do that. And I think it has given me inspiration and hope for what I want to do in the future, which is to still go into media and government. So yeah, I feel like I learned a lot from that experience.
That's definitely a great experience. And you said opportunity to intern for Speaker Ryan, especially at that time during the switch over from President Obama to President Trump. Now you go into Washington D.C. What were your initial what was your initial perspective going in, and then what did you learn coming out? I guess about just yourself and the direction God was moving you in? And another part of that question would be, with your time there during that summer, were there any difficulties in showing your faith there in, I guess, the heart of politics here in our country?
So yeah, going in, kind of had that. I think we all know that politics can tend to be a dirty business. So I knew that going in, but overall, I would say I tend to be an optimistic person. So I wanted to go in with a good perspective and just to see everything in a good light. And I prayed a lot about just even applying for that because I knew that politics could be such a, I guess not dirty business, but it could go both ways a lot of the time. So I prayed a lot just about the application and if it was even God's will for me to be there, if it was going to be beneficial for, not only me, but for God's work. That was, the first step. There was definitely some worry going into that just because I knew I'd be surrounded by that. But going in, I can say that I had a really positive experience. The people that I was surrounded with, on a daily basis, I can say that I had a really good experience. However, the media, obviously portrays things in a certain way, and I can definitely see where things can get that way. That was a difficulty, and even it still is a difficulty for me now choosing to go that route for my career because I know that even now when I tell people that that's what I want to do, people tell me, oh, don't do it. It's corrupt, it's immoral, you're going to be asked to do things that, you don't want to. And I just think back to, God calling us to be a light in this world and God calling us to be good citizens. And I think he wants that from us. And yeah, it's not going to always be easy. I don't think, going into any career path, you can twist it and turn it in a different direction. But I think, entering in this work field, it's going to be a challenge, but I think God calls us to be that light and to be set apart. And so I take it as a challenge and I know it's going to be difficult. I definitely know that the Lord, he puts me there, he's going to direct me and the way to go. Coming back from DC, what I learned about myself. Well, I learned that kind of like I said, I prayed a lot about whether that's the career, the path that God wanted me to take. I felt like God was calling me to go this direction because again, to be a light, to be a change or a difference maker in this field. And a verse that I thought a lot about while I was there was Ephesians 6:13. It says, "Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground." And I thought about that a lot, just putting the armor of God, because every day, any task you face, you're going to face evil, you're going to face sin and temptation, and just knowing that I have the armor of God was something that really helped me, even to this day on a daily basis.
It's very encouraging to know that you are going forward knowing that, like you said, we call it dirty. Politics are dirty, government is dirty, and getting so many, I guess, words of discouragement, people trying to tell you to go a different path because of the corruption that it's associated with politics. But like you said, knowing that if this is God's will for you, then he will see you through, and having faith and standing strong. It does speak towards how Christians shouldn't shy away from the darkness as far as going in there to be the light, which you said you wanted to be. Yes, we shouldn't go in and be involved within the corruption, but we are definitely supposed to go and expose the corruption and try to change the course if possible. So that's really, really good that you're going that way. Now, you said that something coming out that you learned was really depending on God, and you mentioned Ephesians chapter 6 and just wearing the full armor of God. While you were there, was there any challenge that really stood out among the rest while you were there as an intern in DC?
I can't really pinpoint one challenge. Honestly, I really did have a good experience with, the people that I surrounded myself with. And I think that was probably one of the biggest things that I can say is, there's this, even when you just look it up, being an intern in DC, there's a lot of preconceived notions about it, that party and you are involved with all these powerful people and that you have a lot of opportunities and, you'll be asked to do things that are risky or, maybe don't align with what you want. But because you're an intern, people, you let yourself be taken advantage of because you want to move up, because you want to be involved in that circle. And I think for me, from the very beginning, I decided to not involve myself with, because I met other people. I met other, maybe not working directly next to me, but, in the US Capitol, there's thousands of people, hundreds of people that you come across every day. So standing my ground in who I myself with, not, letting me be easily influenced or swayed by others, was a big decision, was something that really helped me. Because like I said, it's very easy to, yeah, you make friends, but while I was there, I just focused on what God called me to do, and just trying to not involve myself with people who, may not have the right intentions. So maybe not saying keeping to myself, but just focusing on what I was there for, and not on trying to move up the ladder, trying to just be involved with the powerful people. Just, I was there working. I think that's what I focused on, doing my work and trying to please God in the process.
Keeping focused on God and standing firm in faith in Jesus Christ. I think those are two great things that we can all take away in whatever situation we find ourselves in. Yeah, just keep focused on God and stand firm in your faith in Jesus Christ. A little bit on the humorous side, from my understanding, you're kind of playing a game with your family while you were over there.
Oh
You
yeah.
do you want to talk a little bit about that? How many times exactly did you end up on TV?
I ended up, if off the top of my head, I think 5 or 6 times. So yeah, we had this little game, where, because, then one of the first days, when I got there, I walked into the main center of the right underneath the dome that you see is where, I would walk maybe back and forth 100 times a day. And so there was always cameras set up. So if you turn on even CNN or Fox right now, you'll see these cameras set up inside the Capitol Hall, where I would walk back and forth every day. And so, the first time I got really excited because it was my favorite TV reporter. And I told my parents to, go back and rewind the TV and see if you could see me. And so then from that day on, every day it was like, have your TVs on, screenshot it if you see me. And sometimes they did. And then sometimes, I'd go back online and I would rewatch the news and I would see myself and screenshot it. So it was, it was a lot of fun just doing that. And it's a little bit of fun that I had while I was over there.
Did you at any time purposely position yourself to be on TV?
Well, so yeah, if I knew that, I hadn't been on TV that day and that it was towards the end of the day, I would purposely, yeah, get my assignment to go, oh, you need that assignment taken to the other side of the Capitol, I'll do it. And so would walk in front of the camera. So yeah, sometimes I purposely did it.
So you can put on your resume that you've been on TV before. You've been
Yeah,
on CNN.
CNN, Fox, NBC, everything. Yeah.
So that you've been to DC, interning over there. Now you said you're in your junior year at HBU, going into your senior year. What advice would you give for the students that are currently in college right now, or for those that are going into college?
So for those who are currently or are going in, I would say to take advantage of your resources around you. That has been one of the most beneficial things for me, is forming relationship with my professors and my advisors. I think we see them as intimidating people, but when you actually go to their office and talk to them and get to know them and let them know you develop such a strong relationship. And I know for me personally, going to a small university, I have professors all the time who will be like, yeah, let's go grab coffee in the library and we'll talk about your paper. So do things like that. Don't be afraid of your professors. They, in college, more than high school, they're there for you and they want to see you grow. So do that, but also, maintain relationships with others. Don't get too caught up in the juvenile aspects, I think, of things. If I saw high school as a lot of a, popularity contest, who you hung out with defined you, and, what you did on the weekends defined you. And I just don't focus on that in college, because it really, at the end of it, you're going to graduate and that won't matter. So, surround yourself with, people, but don't get too caught up in all of that. And then also get involved in any ways. I think that's a regret that I have, that I didn't do that as much in the beginning. Just get involved, go hang out at a Bible study if you have one. Even, non-Christian colleges have them. Go to, socials or events, or, join a club, go to the library to study, and you'll meet new people. Don't just isolate yourself too much.
Good advice. You said take advantage of the resources available to you,
Yeah.
develop good relationships, and just get involved. Don't let the good part of college life pass you by, but definitely experience it for what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, for sure.
That's good. That's good stuff. Well, Karla, I really appreciate having you on here. You have done so much. You're a young lady, and just to see, like I said, knowing you from when you were in 7th grade, I think, when I first started teaching you to the young lady you have become and are becoming. It's great to see you like you said, standing firm in the faith and keeping your life and your heart and mind focused on the things of God and moving forward.
Thank you so much.
It's I'm really excited to see what the Lord has in store for you. You will be. I would not be surprised to see you as a reporter on CNN with another aspiring reporter walking behind you, trying to get into your camera shot.
Thank you. I hope so.
Or CNN or Fox. I don't know what broadcast you'd want to be a part of, but I guess you have some time to decide.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you very much for being here, and maybe I guess when it comes around for graduation time, we'll get you back on the show to see where life is taking you then.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on, and congrats on your podcast. I'm so excited to see everything that you've been doing. So yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
This conversation was originally recorded earlier this year, but it's still relevant. And this episode is being released during midterm elections, so what better time to hear a Christ-centered conversation on faith and politics? As I mentioned before, I've known Karla for a long time, and it's so great to see how she has grown in the Lord and continues to grow. I know she will be an inspiration to many who are considering getting into politics, but don't want to compromise their beliefs and values for the sake of advancement. We need more people like Karla who are willing to shine the light of Christ in all areas and during any circumstance. If this episode or any of our other episodes have been a blessing to you, then I hope you will share that blessing with others. I'd love to know how God has used this podcast in your life as you grow in deeper relationship with Him. Please leave us a comment on Facebook or leave us a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever it is that you are listening to this episode now. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Radio Faith. God bless.